Let's move on, guys. Second down, our first topic. Spurs are not moving on past the opening round for the first time since 2000. Are the Mavs that good, Skip, or are the Spurs just getting old and done, essentially?
While I highly respect the toughness and the stability that Rick Carlisle, we're both a big fan, has brought to the Dallas Mavericks, Jalen, I must painfully and publicly admit that my Spurs are now the Purs, as I've started calling them, that we have now last night seen the end of the Spurs that I used to know and love. I don't think anybody else did, but Jalen, Tim Duncan's knees are now chronic and I think unfixable by surgery because I think they're a product of too many surgeries already. I think Manu's ankle will now be chronic and plague him the rest of his career. And as you know, he has played way too much off-season international battle basketball, where El Contusion, as they call him, has taken way too many spills on the hardwood. So it leaves them with Tony Parker, who is entering his prime, obviously, but we just saw how far Tony Parker can carry you, and it's to Dallas in 5. That's what he can carry you to.
Well, don't hurt your ankle jumping off your bandwagon.
I jumped off before this year started.
I'm going to have to start calling you Flip Bayless.
No,
on this
I didn't.
You were
and
off it.
I said,
you wanted to get back on.
I know, but I said before the year I didn't like them anymore. I didn't trust them. Too old.
Well, ultimately, I would say the answer to the actual question is no. They actually have another run left in them. This next year will be a long situation for these guys all summer, getting knocked out in the first round. Tim will actually rest and get healthy. So will Manu, who was actually out all season. This team was still the 3rd seed overall in the West without Manu majority of the season, and with the things you talked about. They're going to revamp the core of their team, probably watch out for Bruce Bowen being moved, Kurt Thomas, Michael Finley. They got some good young pieces in George Hill, Roger Mason, and Matt Bonner, but they're not necessarily superstar caliber players.
Okay,
so you add to that big 3, Tony's still one of the top 3-point guards in the game. We know about Tim, we know about Manu, and Pop's on the sideline. One more run.
Okay, I will give you this. R.C. Buford, who no one ever talks about, has the best draft eye in the NBA to me. So I won't be surprised if he comes up with something in the draft, because he got Tony Parker with the 28th and last pick in the first round and Manu with the 28th pick in the second round. But that's not going to be enough, because you know and I know the key to the Spurs run, all their dynasty, was Tim Duncan guarding the rim. He's lost his quickness. They were ordinary on defense this year.
But also, when he first came into the league, he played alongside a center, David Robinson, who helped contest at the rim. And then when he was still in his quote-unquote prime, he was able to play center and still do that. Now they got Alberto and guys that aren't big enough and are as good enough to do that. And they let another good player actually go to the Houston Rockets, Scola, that they could have used, that is not a part of their team. So I ultimately think they do have another run left.
All right, but bottom line, I respect what Dallas is doing, but they're a product of just how bad the Spurs are.
Props to the Mavericks. We don't want to apologize for the Spurs all day.